To make things a little easier, I'm going to hide the actual sky dome for a moment. To add the bounce off surface to the particles effect, we'll once again open up the ice tree and we'll look for a category of nodes called surface interaction. If we clear the filter menu and we look back under our tasks menu, the surface interaction finds a number of bounce type compounds, flowing, stick to surface, slide, anything that interacts with another surface. And we have two options here, bounce off surface and bounce off surface with friction. This is a new one that does have a friction option added to it of late, picked off the XSI news group. It'll be, of course, included with the training materials, as will all the compounds I have in this training series. So I'll actually just bring in the bounce off surface with friction, and I'll make sure that I add it after the add forces. So we'll insert a new port after the add forces branch and execute that like so. And I need to provide the obstacle that the particles bounce off of. So I'll select the grid, F3 to open up a mini explorer, and I'll drag and drop it onto the compound and connect to the surface input. So if I double click on the compound, we can control a number of attributes on how the particles relate to the surface. So the first thing I want to do is I do want them to lose some energy when they bounce. So the bounce factor, I'm not going to return the full amount of energy to the ball on each bounce. We're going to have it lose some energy, so I'll return 35% of its energy each bounce. So every time it'll be a third as high, so it should run out of bounce energy very quickly. And we'll also randomize the angle at which these objects bounce off of the surface. I can use the particle's own size as my collision. If I find that I have too much penetration, I can always use an offset distance as well, which is specified by the value below. My grid isn't deformed, so I can actually just use a static collision. It's going to measure the shape of this grid at the first frame. If you find that you're getting some particle penetration of your grid, you can also increase the max bounces per frame factor. So if you have multiple bounces within a single frame, this is a number that can be raised quite high. In our case, we shouldn't have to deal with that. So I'll close these menus. Perhaps I'll bring the particles a little bit closer so they don't travel so far, and I'll lower their speed from, say, 30 to 15. And I'll rewind back to frame 1, and if I hit play, oops. Okay, so some of the particles actually don't quite make it, which is fine, but a lot of the other ones are starting to roll down the surface.